Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Mavidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May the Divine Being look over us lovingly as a mother and father. May the Divine Being support and nourish us as a mother and father. May we have the strength and skill to study together the art of spirituality. May no misunderstandings arise amongst us. Om, peace, peace. Peace be unto us and to all beloved beings everywhere. Well, good morning to you all. A very happy Sunday morning to you all. We will, of course, start with some announcements. Many of you are familiar with the program we have called Holy Mother's Helping Hands. It's a way of providing food and clothing for the less fortunate. We are beginning our annual cooperation with the Atlanta Food Bank. Now this year we won't be gathering physical food because we're not meeting in the chapel, but we will be just offering you the opportunity to make contributions to the Atlanta Community Food Bank. One of the things that the Atlanta Community Food Bank points out is that in the Atlanta area, in the Atlanta Metroplex, 1 in 4 children goes to bed hungry every night. So they do their very best to provide food to the food pantries and other places that distribute. They don't distribute directly to the homeless and the poor, but they do provide tremendous amounts of food to the food pantries and food banks where people come. So we'll be working with them again this year. The center's goal for this year is $1,900 in donations by December 31st. So about 6 weeks we have, a little less. In each week's e-newsletter, we'll have details of the program and a link for your gifts. In other words, you just have to click on the link. It'll take you directly to our program as it's organized by the food bank. Also, you can drop off warm winter clothing here at the monastery. Just leave it on the sun porch. Or if for some reason I'm not home, rarely I go out, but I do go out. If some reason I'm not home, just leave it in front of the monastery door. Your kind contributions are taken to the clothes closet of a local Christian church that very actively supports the homeless and the poor. They really have a wonderful program at that church. It's a nearby church. It's a congregational church. As has been being announced in the newsletter, we will not celebrate Thanksgiving with a gathering together of the congregation this year. We believe that the virus is still too great a danger, even for the fully vaccinated. So is there anything else that should have been announced, might have been announced, in the way of an announcement that I didn't know about or just didn't think about? All right. Watch your e-news, and if you're not a subscriber, please do subscribe to the e-news. It's a 5-minute read once a week to keep you informed. And you can subscribe through the website, or you can just visit the website. So nothing more from anyone? All right. Well, as we've been hearing, November is a month for study of karma yoga, a spiritual path leading to the abandonment of selfishness. As a karma yogi, you practice offering all your actions and their results, as well as your perceptions, thoughts, and feelings to the divine presence. Here's a prayer that is recited in unison by the congregation at the end of a worship service or pujas, homa fire ceremony. At the end of a puja, there's something called a homa fire. And here's what's chanted in unison. No matter what I may have done, said, or thought, in waking, dreaming, or dreamless sleep, with my mind, my tongue, my hands, or my other members, may all that be an offering to the divine presence. It's a very nice prayer for us to, it'll be in the notes for this talk. So if you want to use it for yourself, I'll repeat it. It's very poignant. No matter what I may have done, said, or thought, in waking, dreaming, or dreamless sleep, with my mind, my tongue, my hands, or my other members, may all that be an offering to the divine presence. And as a karma yogi, even before fully knowing this presence, you hold firmly to the belief that the presence is within each person or other living being that you interact with or serve. Working and abiding in this spirit, you slowly release attachment to your activities and their results. This can indeed yield the freedom and contentment promised by karma yoga. Here's a little something of what Krishna says about it. Even a little practice of this yoga will save you from the terrible wheel of rebirth and death. You can find that quote and the rest of the context in which it's embedded in chapter 2 of the Gita. So before we go on, any comments or questions from anyone about anything that's been said so far? Okay. The topic this morning is giving thanks. Our beloved holiday of Thanksgiving is just a few days away. This morning we'll talk about giving thanks as a spiritual aspirant. Here's something adapted from Swami Vivekananda's book Raja Yoga. Quote, "The Divine Mother gently takes your self-forgetting soul by the hand, as it were, and shows you all the experiences in the universe, all manifestations, bringing you higher and higher through various bodies till your lost glory comes back and you remember your own nature." This is at the end of, toward the very end of Swami Vivekananda's Raja Yoga, in this poetic evocation of what it is that we are doing as human beings and how we are guided, we are led through all these experiences. The Divine Mother gently takes your self-forgetting soul by the hand, as it were, and shows you all the experiences in the universe, all manifestations, bringing you higher and higher through various bodies till your lost glory comes back and you remember your own nature. This is the eternal quest. This is what it is that we are doing. So at this beginning of our Holy Day season, let's explore how we can make a strong connection between what Swamiji wrote and an attitude of profound thankfulness. Here are some thoughts from Henry David Thoreau, a 19th century American spiritual teacher. He offers us a very practical kind of spirituality. Several quotes from his writings have been strung together to make a kind of narrative. So here's where the quote starts. This is from Henry David Thoreau. Pursue some path, however narrow and crooked, in which you can walk with love and reverence. If you advance confidently in the direction of your dreams and endeavor to live the life which you have imagined, you will meet with a success unexpected in everyday circumstances. As a single footstep will not make a path on the earth, so a single thought will not make a pathway in the mind. To make a deep physical path, we walk again and again. To make a deep mental path, we must think over and over the kind of thoughts we wish to dominate our lives. What you get by achieving your goals is not as important as what you become by achieving your goals. Things do not change. We change. And of course, this echoes, whether he intended it or not, this echoes just directly what is in chapter 2 of Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. To make a deep mental path, we must think over and over the kind of thoughts we wish to dominate our lives. What you get by achieving your goals is not as important as what you become by achieving your goals. Things do not change. We change. And this is exactly what Patanjali points out in chapter 2. You replace the lower samskaras, the ones which are governing your life as you go into the practice of Raja Yoga. You replace those lower mental impressions or samskaras with higher and higher and higher mental impressions. Now, do those mental impressions and your attraction to them come from somewhere else? No, they do not. This is exactly what Vivekananda was pointing out in his poetic fashion. It's all there. It's all resident within you as the unique, infinite being that you truly are. So this is karma yoga, doing what has just been said. This is karma yoga, the yoga of action. You may hear echoes of Sri Krishna's lessons to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, because much of what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita is echoed by Patanjali in the Yoga Sutra. And here's what Thoreau wrote about Bhagavad Gita. In the morning, I bathe my intellect in the stupendous and cosmological philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita, since whose composition years of the gods have elapsed, and in comparison with which our modern world and its literature seem puny and trivial. That's from his book, Walden. I bathe my intellect in the stupendous and cosmological philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita. And then he says, the modern world and its literature seem puny and trivial. Yet each of you who are with us this morning is anything but puny and trivial. Most of us have heard the assertion from the Chandogya Upanishad, Tat Tvamasi, that thou art, the infinite, unmanifest being that is manifesting through Maya as you yourself right now. Tat Tvamasi. So when you thoughtfully determine what deserves your attention, and then set your day in and day out priorities to match what you have determined, you are making that path Thoreau described, which leads toward spiritual fulfillment. And as you walk that path, you change. It is inevitable. As you move toward that shining light you have seen in the east, the land of your new life, you automatically leave behind the things of the west, the land of darkness, ignorance, and death. Is that not a reason for gratitude? Just the fact that you are here this morning indicates that this is who you are, that this is what you are doing. However you are going about it, and each of us will go about it uniquely, being a unique individual. But as you walk, as you move toward that shining light you have seen in the east, the land of your new life, you automatically leave behind the things of the west, the land of darkness, ignorance, and death. And the question posed is that not a reason for gratitude? Even if your spiritual path has been mapped out in cooperation with the Guru, it is unique because you are unique. And as you move ahead, you discover your spiritual path is, in its day-to-day practice, a stand you are taking for yourself. This is a little mental conversation that I've invented that you might say to yourself, I believe thus and so about myself and the world. I believe thus and so about myself and the world. Therefore, I will think, speak, and act from those beliefs every moment as best I can. That's taking a stand for your new beliefs. Say you aspire to be a vijnani, a spiritual seeker who accepts both the world of matter and the realm of spirit as real. In this state of mind, you continuously insist to yourself that no matter how things appear to you in the moment, everything is in fact full of consciousness, is the divine presence, Brahman. In time, you may find your days are touched with bliss and a deep sense of fulfillment. You are becoming Purna, complete. Perhaps you practice as a jnani, someone who takes the stand that God or Brahman alone is real, and the universe of your everyday experience is illusory, dreamlike. Your moment-to-moment watchwords are discrimination or discernment, and renunciation or release. Neti, not this, not that. This and that, The names and forms of time, space, and causation do not meet your tests of truth. The tests are they changeless, infinite, and eternal? If not, you let them go. You do not let them hold your attention. You ignore them. Everything within time, space, and causation becomes something that in one way or another you ignore. By this process, over time, you attain control of your senses and your thoughts. You gain a profound peace of mind. Nothing disturbs your yoga, your union with Brahman. This is the goal of a jnani. Now, that does not mean that they are not thankful. It does not mean that they don't have concern for others. They do. But they understand that everything that is experienced by the 5 organs of perception and everything that can be done through the 5 organs of action are in fact not infinite, changeless, eternal, and so are not in fact the most profound yet unmanifest truth. So that's the path of a jnani. Or maybe you lead the active life of a karma yogi, one who strives to do every action in a spirit of selflessness. You take the stand that everything you are and do belongs to the divine presence, and so offer all that sacramentally, as Krishna says, and so you offer all that as a sacrament to the Lord. The results of your actions are then received. The results of your actions and your thoughts are then received as a gift from the divine, prasad. And increasingly, you feel no attachment to those results. You may come to think of yourself as a small, contented wave on the vast ocean of being. And then there are the bhaktas, those whose practice is love and devotion. As a bhakta, you see God as your master, or as a loving mother, or father, or friend. You take the stand that God is your sustainer, provider, and protector, the life of your life, your all and all. In time, your heart's aching desire to know your beloved intimately is fulfilled. You speak with her or him face to face, or you feel yourself to be a carefree child held in your loving father or mother's arms. Ultimately, of course, the goal is full union with. You disappear entirely in self-surrender. So, those are 4 descriptions of ways that spiritual aspirants can practice. Of course, they're not comprehensive, they're just summaries. And so if there's anything that you feel is left out and you'd like to bring into the conversation from your own wisdom or experience, or if there's any concern or question that any of this raises, and that description of these spiritual paths and how they all lead to a feeling of gratitude and fulfillment, please either add from your wisdom or raise your concern or question. Now is a good time to do it.
I'll say something. Can you hear me?
Of course, Tom.
Okay. So I've never had a clear idea of how I fit into one of these four categories. In fact, I think I don't. And, if I was to say I believe anything, I would say I believe I don't know much. Uh, I know that if I meditate every day, I'm happier and that I have happy experiences in meditation. I have things that make me feel freer. And I know that if I treat other people nice, it makes me feel good. If I make other people happy, uh, it makes me feel good. And that's it. That's about what I'm doing. Uh, so that's all. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Tom. And yes, but what you've described is a kind of combination between Raja Yoga, the yoga of meditation, and Karma Yoga, this kindness to others and this fellow feeling in the world with others. So it isn't as if you don't fit into any categories. Of course, none of us is going to neatly fit into any of these categories. But what you described is loosely fits the description of a Raja Karma yogi. And certainly it has been my personal experience to witness this evolution in your life. And it is a glorious thing. So no, none of us are going to fit into any of those categories very precisely. Anything else from anyone? Thank you, Tom, for, again, always your sincerity and your forthrightness.
You're welcome.
Brother Shankara?
Yes, dear.
This is Swayam.
Yes, Swayam.
So when we are going through some kind of mental anguish or physical pain, and being in the spiritual path, we know that that is not real. I mean, it's just the body-mind complex having its thing. How far do you go in trying to get practical help? And when and how do you let it go as not the real thing?
Well, the reality is relative. Even Adi Shankaracharya is very clear about this. The reality of what we experience as a jiva, as an embodied being, there's no denying its reality. So we have both the resources of the world around us, doctors and therapists and so on, to offer us comfort and mental sustenance and new ways of looking at things and new ways of behaving. I'm constantly encouraged by the doctors that are involved with me to be more physically active, and so I'm doing it because they know it'll be good for me. And by nature, I'm indolent. So unmotivated to that sort of thing. Now, spiritually, what are our resources? Well, within time, space, and causation, we have these great souls. We can name them from antiquity, Rama, Krishna, so on, Chaitanya Deva. Each of them and their saints say, reach out to me. I will be of help to you. Trust me. I will make a difference in your life. They make these absolutely stupendous promises. Now, of course, that comes down to the lineage that this place represents. the lineage of Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother, Vivekananda, and Swami Brahmananda. The four primary beings associated with the Ramakrishna order and the Ramakrishna Mission. Every one of them says, "Come to me, come to me." And they offer to break this world's chain and break the contact with pain and mental anguish. They will untie the knots of the heart. They will lead you to inner awareness where there is no pain. Now, until you experience it, there's no way of explaining it. But if you learn to turn inward, you literally can escape even from physical pain and definitely from mental anguish. Now, escape into that. Now, as you escape into that, and it becomes a reality for you, your sense of what it is that you're experiencing in your waking state, your waking awareness, changes. It isn't that the pain disappears. I think you've all heard the story of Turiyananda, who underwent surgery for this was, mind you, at the very beginning of the 20th century. He underwent surgery for a very big carbuncle or boil on his back that had become very serious without anesthesia. And the only way of staunching the bleeding in those days was cauterization with a hot iron, a red hot iron. He was able to move his attention to an inwardness that he did not experience the pain. The body did not flinch. He did not say anything. And yet, a few days later, when his attendant went to change the dressing and pulled the dressing off the wound, the Swami exclaimed, what are you doing? And the attendant said, well, Swami, I stood there and watched you go through this surgery without anesthesia, and you didn't make a peep. And here I just pull the dressing off the wound and you yelp. What's up? And Turiyananda said, yes, but you didn't warn me that you were going to do it. In other words, he did not have time to turn his attention inward. So when Krishna says in the Gita, yoga, union, is breaking the contact with pain, this is not a metaphor. It's literally true. So we avail ourselves of every resource, both in the physical world, painkillers. I've been having some sciatica problems. I've done two things. I've taken Tylenol, and I have complained bitterly to Holy Mother about it, and gotten some relief from both quarters. Sri Ramakrishna encourages us to this kind of tamasic bhakta attitude. Mother, what in the world is going on? What's the point of this? It's hard for me to do my work when I'm in pain. So all of that. Thank you for asking that question, Swaya. That is a very potent question, and it relates very directly to what we're talking about. the thankfulness. Can we be thankful in spite of our pain and anguish? Yes, we can.
Thank you, Brother Shankara.
Does that bring up anything for anyone else, or is there any other comment or question or concern?
Brother Shankara, this is Haima.
Yes, Haima.
I was listening to one of the gurus recently, and he said, if we can stay calm for opposing views, our hearts will get purified. Then we won't get agitation or anything. Calmness with pleasure, not like agitated mind. Just stay calm for opposing views. Of course, our world is full of opposing views around us every single day and every single minute. And that sounded like a very profound statement, and extremely seems to be, it can be achieved through meditation. I noticed that slowly with going into stillness. I just wanted to share that with the group.
Yes, it definitely can be achieved by going into stillness. It can also be achieved by the karma yogi's refuge,
Yes.
which is the opposing views and all of this that is happening. Just offer it to the Lord.
Lord.
Say that if you can do this sincerely, say, all that I'm experiencing, Lord, I'm not creating this. I didn't create this political party or that political party or that attitude about viruses and this attitude about viruses. And yet here is all this, people banging heads together and all kinds of things going on. It's thine, Lord. Take it, take it. So meditation is ultimately, it is the most powerful way to do it, and even karma yogis will practice, as Tom Carr pointed out. Even those who are practicing aspects of karma yoga will practice meditation simply because it gives them a deeper and more fulfilling sense of a reality that has, in some ways, very little to do with the experiences of our 5 organs of perception and our 5 organs of action. It's a whole different realm of being, but still within time, space, and causation. You're still experiencing it. So this is what Krishna meant when he said yoga is breaking the contact with pain. The pain of opposing views. Your calmness comes from that center. So thank you for bringing that up, Haima. That's absolutely true.
Thank you, Brother Shankara.
Hey, Brother Shankara, one question.
Yes.
So I think in last conversation you mentioned about tamasic bhakti, correct? And Ramakrishna encourage those type of tamasic worship. So I think most of the prayer and complaining and whatnot we are doing against in front of God, that's all tamasic worship, correct? So
Yes.
what is other type of worship? Because I'm only know only that type of worship when I'm in front of God, okay. But what other type of worship that you can explain? Because I only know that type of worship only. So I didn't know that what's other type of worship, and why Thakur is encouraging those type of tamasic worship.
Well, he encourages the full spectrum. The others, of course, there are as many ways as there are human beings, really, because each of us is unique. But in general categories, there is that kind of tamasic bhakti, that kind of complaining, saying, why am I experiencing this? Am I somehow outside your love and care? Then there's petitionary prayer, petitionary worship, where you are asking for higher forms of spiritual understanding and fulfillment, and asking for the knots of the heart to be untied, so that you are no longer plagued by those things of the past. But you're not doing it in a complaining manner. You're doing it in a loving manner, saying you are the source of all capability. And then there is just the pure love for love's sake kind of worship, the highest kind of worship.
Okay.
I love you because I love you. I don't know. I can't explain it.
No condition.
And this is unqualified and unconditional. And that's, according to Sri Ramakrishna, the highest form of worship.
Okay.
But he speaks of these 5 bhavas. The Shanta bhava, just the contented way of being with the Lord, Santosha, Shanta bhava. Then the Dasya bhava, the attitude of a servant. He highly recommends this. Then there's the attitude of a child. Then there's the attitude of a mother or father. And then there's the attitude of a lover. The highest, he says, is the attitude of the lover, because it combines all of the others. So all of these forms of worship are there. Even in tamasic bhakti, there's a built-in kind of thankfulness, because if you believe in what you're doing, if you believe that you are really talking to a loving parent and reminding them that, hey, this is something that I really rather not bear, there's a thankfulness that that loving parent is there and has the power to have the relief. So each of these contains this attitude of thankfulness. But in the higher and higher forms, it is less and less qualified, less and less conditional. Even a mother may, not the divine mother, but the birth mother, may somehow give you the idea that there's some condition to her love. There probably isn't in the final analysis, but it may let you know, well, I want you to help make me happy, either by behaving in such a way or fulfilling this desire of mine for your life, or so on. We often experience that from parents and grandparents. As I said, there are as many types of worship as there are human beings, because each of us is unique, and ultimately we will find our own way of being with. And when we acknowledge in reverence the primacy of the divine presence and our relative smallness to that reverence becomes a kind of worship, however it is centered in us. So thank you very much for asking that question.
Yeah, thank you, Shankara. It explains, yeah.
Anything else from anyone?
Brother Shankar?
Yes, Bhagirath.
See, I wanted to draw the difference between pain and suffering. Pain is inevitable, while suffering is voluntary. This suffering can be enhanced by meditation or by total dedication to God. But then what happens, that when things are bad, we think of God. When things are good, we don't.
Yes.
This is the reason why we say classically in India that when you are prosperous, you go to a goldsmith. And when you suffer, you do go to God. So
Mhm.
naturally, God is not going to be very supportive of this kind of an attitude. But going back, pain is a very important part for the sustenance of the body. We would be miserable and perish in no time if the sense of pain was taken away from the body.
Oh, I'm sure that's true,
Oh,
yes.
this Dr. Brand, B-R-A-N-D-T, he's a British surgeon who has primarily settled in India, and he was a missionary surgeon. He has written a beautiful book, The Gift of Pain.
Hmm.
The pain comes to you as a gift. He gives the example of a one child who had congenital absence of pain. And she could chew her whole tongue and never feel the pain. And she says, this is good, because this child cannot live too long in absence of the sense of pain. So basically what I'm thinking, all the four yogas that you have, ways that you have indicated, they're all very helpful. But like a doctor gives a medicine, the medicine has some side reactions too. And there are side reactions of all these four. And number one common, you may use this to feed your ego. In all these four, karma yoga, Raj yoga, you can use it to nourish your ego. And that's where you go wrong. And that's
Oh, so many ways to go wrong. You're right. You're absolutely correct. And of course, pain is necessary, or it wouldn't exist. That doesn't mean we don't have the ability and even the right to complain about it when it becomes, particularly when it becomes an impediment to doing what we need and are assigned to do, our duties. Sri Ramakrishna himself complained with his broken arm. He even complained with his throat cancer. Oh, Mother, does this have to happen? So we the emphasis this morning is, how can we be thankful? How can we be thankful? Because gratitude, as we'll hear in the next portion of this, is about what happens when we operate from an attitude of gratitude. But that doesn't mean that anything else that wants to be brought up shouldn't be brought up if there's anything else from anyone. All right.
Brother Shankara, just one comment.
Yes, dear.
We have to be thankful that we are able to breathe right this minute. That's what my thankfulness is.
Yes.
Because we only have this moment right now. That's all we have.
That's right.
Thank you so much.
And we're alive this moment. We're sharing this moment. And this is as that short poem says, being, creating, doing, sharing. The joys of these is why we're here. So to be thankful, yes, for those
Thank you
joys.
so much. Thank you for all the wisdom you offer to us. Thank you.
Oh, well, the wisdom is not mine. The wisdom comes from others, as you'll hear. So the subhead here is offering gratitude, giving thanks. Our love of celebrating gratefully together, as we do on Thanksgiving Day, seems to be built into us. It is part of the fabric of being human. This grateful holiday spirit, its joyous impulse to be thankful for the gift of life, has been voiced by many seekers of freedom and truth. Here's some examples. When I started counting my blessings, my whole life turned around. When I started counting my blessings, my whole life turned around. That was said by Willie Nelson. Willie Nelson, as you may know, is a songwriter-singer in the very best country and Western tradition. Willie is an amazing man. Among his other amazing achievements is he has helped raise many millions of dollars to support farmers and others. He helped organize and lead something called Farm Aid for many years. And it was a fundraiser, a televised fundraiser. It had an in-person component too. It was pre-pandemic. But it raised millions and millions of dollars for farmers and others who were struggling. That was Willie Nelson. Now here's W. Clement Stone. He's a millionaire and philanthropist and author. You can read his books. What he said is, and I just found it so touching, if you are really thankful, what do? You share. If you're really thankful, what do? You share. That comes from W. Clement Stone. Next quote, be thankful for what you have. You will end up having more. If you concentrate on what you don't have, you will never, ever have enough. This is a quote from Oprah Winfrey. Now, many of us know that Oprah Winfrey is a very famous TV personality, a show host for many years. She's also a seeker and teacher of spiritual truths. Oprah Winfrey has given away millions of the dollars that she makes to many worthy causes, including, incidentally, sizable donations to the Vedanta Society of Southern California. She lives near the Santa Barbara convent and sometimes comes there when she knows that there won't be other people there because she doesn't want to create a stir. But she comes and sits for meditation in the Santa Barbara temple. That's Oprah Winfrey. And hear from our beloved Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein said so many wonderful things. There are only two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle. The other is as though everything is a miracle. And that's the way Einstein lived his life. And he said that that was one of the reasons that he made the discoveries that he made. He allowed the miracle to happen. He said the greatest gift that he was given, for which he was, his thankfulness can't even begin to be measured. He said the greatest gift that he had been given was the gift of fantasy. He fantasized how these things could be, that he then formalized in the mathematics. But they came to him through this gift of fantasy, he said. So, there are only two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle. The other is as though everything is a miracle. Can your life be seen as a miracle? Well, here's a story from the biography of the late Thomas Merton. Merton was a Trappist monk who became a world-renowned spiritual teacher. if you just look into the life of Thomas Merton, you talk about miracles. But here's one from his biography. On March 18th, 1958, on the corner of 4th and Walnut Streets in downtown Louisville, Kentucky, Thomas Merton had this vision, quote, "In the center of the shopping district, I was suddenly overwhelmed by the realization that I loved all those people, that they were mine and I theirs, that we could not be alien to one another, even though we were total strangers. In the center of the shopping district, I was suddenly overwhelmed by the realization that I loved all those people, that they were mine and I theirs, that we could not be alien to one another, even though we were total strangers. It is a glorious destiny to be a member of the human race. There is no way of telling people that they are walking around shining like the sun. It is a glorious destiny to be a member of the human race. There is no way of telling people that they are all walking around shining like the sun. Why are we shining like the sun? Why did he see this? If you remember at the very beginning of the talk, Tattvamasi, that thou art. Within each of us, within this stardust spacesuit, is home to the divine presence. It can shine forth from us. We've all been with people from whom we can feel it. And we've all been with people who are shrouded in darkness. And you can see that it's just hidden, not only from us, but from them. But the fact is that we are that. So there's many ways of getting to this inner understanding of the depths of our being, of the truth of our being. And we, from that perspective, see that what we are as our 5 organs of perception and our 5 organs of action it is just a way of interacting with time, space, and causation. It's just a way of knowing and expressing, name and form. And is there joy in it? Yes, there is joy in it. And for that we can be thankful. One kind of thankfulness. Then there is the other, deeper aspect of ourselves. That, as Merton said, is walking around shining like the sun. And this was not something he imagined. He saw this. He wouldn't have said it otherwise. So before we go on to the concluding, there's just a little poem I'd like to read at the end. Is there anything else from anyone about what's been said or any other thing you'd like to raise.
Brother Shankara,
Yes, Bhagavan.
two things. Number one, the expression thank you has been so much exploited by us that even a child, as soon as he starts into understanding, someone gives it, what do you say? The child says, thank you. And it is just a reflex. And that's not the kind of Thanksgiving we are talking about.
No.
Thanksgiving, which is not felt from inside, is just nothing more than a verbal garbage, which we always throw all the time. We have to restrain ourselves from that. Number two, it reminded me of Lord Buddha. Lord Buddha's disciple, Punananda, he came to Lord Buddha and says, I have listened to all your sermons. I have grasped everything that you say. So can I go of my own now and start teaching? Lord Buddha says, I have to give you a test. So come tomorrow morning. Next morning, when Punananda went, he says, if you go to give your sermon and nobody comes, then what we will do? He says, I'll be thanking them because if they were reluctant to come, they would have created a nuisance by their presence. Instead, they remained absent. Okay? What would you do if they throw eggs and tomatoes at you? I'll be very thankful that they did not bring any mortar weapons with them. Instead, they used only tomato and eggs. And he says, what if they come with bows and arrows? He says, I'll be thankful they did not shoot me. And what happens if they shoot you? Oh, then I will die. And that's what I'm working for, nirvana.
Very good. Very good. I had not heard that story before. That's wonderful.
Brother Shankara,
Yes, dear.
can I share some of my thoughts about this wonderful, wonderful session? I love the quotes, but I am going back to your very first sentence. Something related to if you want to pursue this path, etc., etc. And the way I look at every marga or path is not strictly divided or separated from the other, but like a integrative, holistic approach in which and each person is different. So somebody may be having a very powerful intellect. So we call that person intellectual. So that is his guna. Somebody may be highly emotional. So this is how we name people, that this one is jnani, this one is bhakta, because he or she approaches God through emotion, the approach of heart. So jnana is like approach of buddhi, mind. Bhakti is heart approach. Then what do I do? Do I practice what I'm saying? So that is where karma comes, and that is the approach of hand. So mind, heart, hand. And then where does the Raj Yoga belong? To me, Raj Yoga is one which keeps all these three in balance. It's a practice approach. Do you practice meditation? Do you go deeper into yourself and examine yourself? So these, and yamas and niyamas, what Patanjali is talking about. So when all these four are integrated, then I think you are able to pursue the path that you want to which is to become less and less selfish. And when you pursue karma, you serve, you share. When you are intellectual, you read, you study, you discriminate where to draw a line. So to me, there are all these four, just like our body, our limbs. And if only somebody works through mind and is not practicing, then nothing happens, no change happens. So to me, all these are purposefully put together, and in combination, they help you follow that path, if I'm correct. But now my question, everything works very well. I'm talking about myself until some extra pressure comes or some extra challenge comes, and I cannot be myself, or somebody upsets me, or something happens that is totally unexpected. That's where the balance goes off. Otherwise, all these four, I think I'm able to manage so far very well. So how do you don't remember when something goes off or somebody disturbs you or throws, something happens. Life is so unpredictable.
Yes. Well,
So
Vivekananda says, we fall 1,000 times, we rise 1,001 times. Yes, we will get upset. We will get knocked off balance. But that's where an image comes to my mind often when that happens, of those weighted clown balloons. You know, there's these blow-up balloons that are, you know, some of them are as big as human beings, as tall as human beings. But they're weighted at the bottom. So if you bat them, they go boom, but then they go boom, 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 just like that. Just a couple of times each direction, less and less eccentric each time, but they come right back to center. If we are practicing spiritually, we find that that which disturbs us less frequently, less intensely,
yeah,
and we recover ourselves more quickly.
yeah.
That's an acronym that we can keep in mind, FIR.
Okay.
Frequency, intensity, recovery. And it is, as Swami Swahananda told us over and over, the only true measure of spiritual progress is change in behavior.
Yeah.
And so, but it happens spontaneously. We can take a stand for it. We can say, this is how I'm going to do and behave because it's what I believe. It then, over time, fulfills itself. But it is the thought, what I believe, that is the motivator. It's from there that Swami Swahananda says comes the zeal to make the change, to actually live what one thinks and speaks. So, but I over and over, it comes to mind what Vivekananda said. We fall 1,000 times, we rise 1,001 times. We simply will not be defeated. And if you want to hear a very beautiful, beautiful talk on this particular subject, the quality of the human spirit that allows this to happen, read William Faulkner's, or you can listen to it actually on YouTube, him delivering it, William Faulkner's Nobel Prize acceptance speech. It's about the quality of the human spirit. And it is very, very inspiring and ennobling. And it's just beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you, dear. Anything else from anyone? Okay. We'll end today's talk with a Scottish blessing. This is found in the book Celtic Prayers and Blessings. May the blessing of light be on you, light without and light within. May the blessed sunlight shine on you like a great peat fire, so that stranger and friend may come and warm himself at it. And may light shine out of the two eyes of you, like a candle set in the window of a house, bidding the wanderer come in out of the storm. And now, may the Lord bless you and bless you kindly. I'm going to read that again before I read the Amen. May the blessing of light be on you, light without and light within. May the blessed sunlight shine on you like a great peat fire, so that stranger and friend may come and warm himself at it. And may light shine out of the two eyes of you like a candle set in the window of a house, bidding the wanderer come in out of the storm. And now may the Lord bless you and bless you kindly. Amen.
Wow.
That'll be in the notes for this talk, which will be posted with the talk right away. So, any final thought from anyone? All right, dears.
Thank you so much, Shankara.
Well, dear,
Thank you. Happy holidays to everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
we'll close with our regular closing prayer. Thank you for your sweet thoughts. Let there be peace in outer space. Let there be peace in the sky, on the earth, and in the waters. Let there be peace in the herbs, the plants, and the trees. May the gods be peaceful. May the whole universe be pervaded by peace. Let that infinite universal peace prevail throughout my being. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto us and to all beloved beings everywhere. And now may we all have a joyous and uplifting Thanksgiving. It will be a beautiful day of whatever the weather is. It'll be beautiful within our loving gatherings to celebrate the day and to celebrate one another and to celebrate the divine. So, Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji Ki Jai, Durga Durga Durga. May we be safe. May we be healthy. May we be cheerful. May we have peace of mind. And may we go forward in the loving and protective embrace of the divine being as our mother and father. Any final thoughts from anyone?
Yes, Brother Shankara,
Yes.
as we part today after your very good session, I'd like to pray for the best for your health,
Yes.
and at the same time feel grateful that you are here with us and that you will be with us for a long time.
Yes.
Mother's will be done. Thank you very much.
Share,
Yes.
share that thought. Feel the
Well,
same.
you know, I will say, I'll knock on wood as I say it, but I'm feeling better than I have in years.
Good. May
So-
God continue that.
Yes, yes, yes. So, Lord only knows what's going on, but it's a joy to be with you, and that is a fact. So we'll have just a little note for those of you who knew about Saturday's class being missed and why.
Oh, yes.
It went very well with the
Oh,
deacons in training for the Catholic Church yesterday. They're a welcoming group, and they are very listened to what was said. And there's a possibility that the session was videoed, and I have asked to see if there is a possibility that we can get a copy of the video. If we do, then it'll be posted on our YouTube channel, and there'll be a notice in the newsletter that it'll be there, so you can see who these people are and see what it is what kind of questions they ask. You know,
be great.
the Roman Catholics are a remarkable group of people, and these people who are training to be deacons are, of course, are training to give away a major portion of the rest of their lives in service to their church and in service to humanity. So they are much to be honored. So it went really well yesterday.
Good.
Talk with you again soon. Until next time.
Thank you.
Jai
Thank you,
Shri
brother.
Ramakrishna Jai Ma.
God bless
Thank you, brother. Jai Shri
Thank you.
Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you. Jai Shri Krishna.
Jai Shri Krishna.
Jai Shri Krishna.